complexities meet the press, President Trump credited himself for the strong economy in 2024 when Joe Biden was president, but then he blamed President Biden for a weak economy in 2025.
Welcome to the Reaction Radar. Today, we've got a little heated debate between Meeks and Bessent. Without any further ado, let's get into this.
Mr. Bessent, I'm just a plain, simple man, the average, everyday American that's looking at this hearing today. So can you tell me, first, does trade deficits constitute a national emergency?
So, just to bring you guys up to speed, the trade deficit could be treated like a kind of, for lack of better terms, like the illegality status, right? Some people may say that it is a problem. Some people may say it's not. It depends on which side of the aisle you're speaking to and you're talking to that is going to tell you more about it. So without any further ado, you would have to do your due diligence and do your little research to find out what's going on. Personally, I think it is. Every little thing adds up to being a bigger problem, But again, without any further ado, let's get into this again.
Out of the U.S.
No, just yes or no.
Class,
yes or no. Yes or no.
It's a national emergency, sir.
It does. It does. You're telling me trade deficits equals a national or creates
persistent and prolonged.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And do you know also, sir, that for the last 4 decades, we've had trade deficits in the United States of America?
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you so much for acknowledging your ignorance to the law. For 4 decades, did you know there was a trade deficit and there was no problem? Well, first of all, that's why we are in the situation that we're in, because you, Congress, did absolutely nothing about it. Congress just wants to sit back and be reactionary, right? Because for 4 decades, Congressman, you guys did absolutely nothing. We have veterans that are homeless. We have United States citizens that are homeless. We have United citizens that are in crisis, and you guys did absolutely nothing, okay? Now, due to the fact that President Trump is in office right now everybody wants to come out with the pitchfork and the torches and, oh, he is the devil and he's the bad guy. And from what I see, President Trump is just doing whatever he said he was going to do during his political campaign. He said America's going to be number one. He's going to be looking out for us, and that's where we are. So you can't just go back and just sit there for 4 decades, Congressman, when you guys did absolutely nothing. Now that something is being done, now you want to come out and start, hoopling and hollering. What have you done, sir? What have Congress done?
And nobody said it was an emergency? Democratic and Republican presidents? You know what that says to me?
What it says to me is that, Congressman, you're Congress, so if you saw that there was a problem, you should have voiced your concern. But did you? No, you sat back in the bandwagon, enjoyed the ride. So, here we are.
That is not an emergency because it hasn't been for 4 decades. It says to me that we should bring tariffs.
4 decades. That's why the price of gas, grocery, everything was, to the roof. And it wasn't a problem. There was no problem. 4 decades, no problem.
Tariffs back to the United States Congress so that we can make that determination as the Constitution has said and not try to go around Congress.
So, in case you missed it there, he's saying that they should bring back tariffs to the United States. You guys understand the whole thing with the tariffs, right? Is that China is charging us way overpriced on products that we have for them, or products that they're making for us and we're paying them, right? So President Trump was basically like, well, No, we're not going to do that because we have capable citizens. We have capable places in the United States that we can actually start manufacturing and doing certain things right here in the country. Why not do it? But Congress, here it is again, Congress is the only people that does not have a term, so they can basically stay there until they check out from God's green earth or they decide that they want to retire. There's no term limit saying when they can do this, okay? They give themselves raises. They don't, I'm not sure even if they pay taxes or what have you. And everyone knows, this is not a secret, they are cahooting with the other financial folks out there, like, big companies, I don't want to name any names, but big companies that are giving them kickbacks. And that's why they're doing what they're doing. That's why they want certain things to come back. Because again, if you go back and look back at your history, China was giving Biden kickbacks and Hunter Biden was all in there too, So, but that's a cup of tea for a different day. Let's get back to this.
It's just unbelievable to me. Let me ask this question. Maybe they missed it. Who was the president and who has been the president since January 20th, 2025?
Donald J. Trump.
Okay. And who was the president in 2024?
One believes President Biden.
One believes?
And, here's the funny thing about that. I know that question was meant to be rhetorical, but how can you ask someone a question and when they answer it, you get mad? You know what I mean? Like, whether this gentleman, whether he decided he wanted to support the past president or not, that is his constitutional right. He don't have to. Just like you guys don't like President Trump. No one is, chastising you guys for that. But similarly, when you ask him a question, he answers, "Oh, you don't. You would." Come on, Democrats. Come on. We need to wake up. You guys are the poster child for the temper tantrum kids and the kids that do the bullying. Okay? It's always good when things are going okay on your side or things are going good with you guys, but the minute it's not, oh, you guys are cheating. You're doing this. You're wrong. This is not fair. This is not. But then when the other side does it, it's a big problem. But when you guys do it, it's like, oh, it's fine. It's okay. 4 decades, no deficit. So what if the country's in sham? What if we're paying trillions of dollars to China? What if we have citizens that are, unemployed and homeless and don't even have money? Who cares? Citizens, you guys are going to keep paying your taxes so that we can get money to do whatever we want to do. That's why Doge came out with this whole thing and threw all that stuff out, and now they're mad. They're mad at Elon Musk. Oh, well, who gave him the right? And what is he going to do? He's not doing anything with the results other than giving it back to the President of the United States, and they're presenting it to who? The people of the United States of America. And you guys don't like that.
You one of those non-believers that the American people didn't vote?
I am not.
Well, that's a big thing right there that you can do research on the internet and find out more information on that. Okay? I'm leaving it as that.
You're not? You said one believes? Do you believe in the Constitution of the United States and it should be abided by?
I believe in the Constitution of the United States.
So you believe in it without any second thought. You don't have to think about it. You believe in it and you would abide by it. Is that correct?
I have and I do, sir.
Okay. Well, do you know that a president has said he may or may not? He don't know? Let me ask this question.
So I think he's referring to President Trump here. And you see, that's the thing with the Democrats. You have to understand that he was asked a question, by the journalist. And it was pertaining to immigration. Now, that is a very hot topic, right? And everyone is playing around this game with the Constitution, right? The 14th Amendment said that every United States citizen and every naturalized citizen has protection under the Constitution. Now, also what that it says is that there are individuals that get to come over with certain type of visas, right? Like, I don't know all of them, but a few of them would be a student visa or like maybe a visiting visa, right? If those individuals come over, they are also protected. So when President Trump said that he had to leave that up to the lawyers, that is because that is the smart thing to do. It's a legality thing that's going on in court. It's a very hot topic. So President Trump cannot just jump out there and answer a question because there's going to be legal ramifications. So to play it safe, he's like, let the lawyers handle that, right? But here we are again, blowing things up. You know, what have you guys done, Congressman, for 4 decades and the last 4 years? Well, 3.5 years, if you want to say that the president was illegally kicked out of his office, right, before the term was up. What have you done when the borders were getting flooded, when we had a whole bunch of illegal immigrants coming in? What have you guys done? 4 decades, what have you done? And within the last 4 years.
I couldn't believe my ears. Sunday, during NBC's Meet the Press, President Trump credited himself for the strong economy in 2024 when Joe Biden was president, but then he blamed President Biden for a weak economy in 2025.
So, Congressman, let me educate you real quick, okay? Because I'm not sure, again, how is it that Congress people get elected into Congress, but I have no idea, right? But it lapped over. So what President Trump did in 2024 rolled over into Biden's term. Whatever Biden did at the ending of his term rolled over into President Trump's term. So again, I'm not sure how you've been in Congress, and God knows how long since, there is no term on Congress. But how is it that you don't know a simple thing like this, Congressman? 4 decades of, trying to do these things, and you don't even know this. Come on. What are we wasting our money with having Congress people like this in office for? And this is where 99.9% of our problems are coming from, Come on, wake up.
When he was president. Now, I'm not so sure how the American people puts that together. In 2024, strong economy, he tries to take the credit. In 2025, when he's the president, he blames Joe Biden. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it makes sense to most Americans.
A lot of things doesn't make sense to you guys, Senator, because, you guys are okay with men playing in women's sports and, doing all these other stuff. So again, this does not surprise me that something that's common sense doesn't make sense, because something that's complicated doesn't make sense to you. So,
Americans, and I hope, Mr. Secretary, you're a businessman, it doesn't make sense to you either. It can't possibly make sense to you. Let me ask this question. If a government, say, look, Argentina, I remember when I came here, and Argentina kept failing to pay its debt. Not once or twice or 3 times. And we were all upset about it, and we said that they needed somebody needed to take over their government. Somebody should help the president of Argentina. If the United States or didn't pay his debt or something like that, we'd be very upset about that if we couldn't pay our debt. I mean, that's one of our focuses. Is that not correct?
Sir, the United States will always meet its debt obligations.
Always. Well, let me ask you this. Donald Trump, the deal maker, and you didn't answer Ms. Velasquez's questions, no deals, although he said 3 weeks ago that there would be deals. But Donald Trump, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, but 6 times failed to pay his debts on his business and went bankrupt. And you're going to call that a good businessman?
The gentleman's
I wouldn't
time
invest
has
in that
expired.
company.
Calm down, Congressman. Calm down. Calm down. Hey, I think we need the medics in there. You just might need to check his blood pressure and make sure he's okay. Sir, again, you know, it's not common practice, but it's not unusual for a businessman and business to do or go bankrupt, okay? It's a business strategic that they use. And like President Trump said in the beginning, you know, he's doing these things that were afforded to him by the laws that were made. So just because he found a way to do certain things, don't get mad. You know, you guys are the one that created the laws for this, right? So now don't get mad. I mean, so what if the guy, you know, went bankruptcy or filed bankruptcy for 6 years or 6 times, right? Okay, he's still the president. And from what I'm seeing, things are starting to change. So people make errors, make mistakes, and they move on and learn from it. So are you saying that if somebody make a mistake that they're not a civilized person? Because I thought that a lot of business people and successful business people learn from mistakes. You have to fail, you have to make mistakes in order for you to learn, right? But come on, this, you know, it's like I said earlier, temper tantrum. Perfect example of a temper tantrum, you know? Things aren't going my way, so this makes no sense. 4 decades, 4 decades. And why are you shouting into the mic, sir? Why? I have no idea. But anyway, thank you guys for joining. If you like this show, please give me a like, subscribe, and as usual, drop a comment. And like I always say, stay informed and engage. Have a good one.